What's up, guys? Today we are going to be taking a look at the Power A Fusion controller. I am a fan of different types of controllers and paddles and all the sorts, so when I stumbled across this thing, I was pretty excited. So I'm gonna be honest, I have zero clue how long this thing has been out for. From the looks of it, at its release, it was $80, and recently it dropped down to only 60 bucks, which 60 bucks is literally the price of any like standard console controller. But this thing is not the standard console controller. Comes in this fancy carrying case. Let's unzip this, and here is what we're looking at. Right off the bat, I gotta say, for $60 to get this sort of presentation in the unboxing, for it to come in a big box like that, then you get its own carrying case, you get the cable, you have extra analog sticks, the paddles down here. Gotta say, I'm pretty impressed so far. So this is the controller, and I will say I've never used an Xbox One controller. The last Xbox controller I used was a Xbox 360 controller way back. However, one of the things that instantly came to my mind when I saw this is that a lot of Fortnite Pro players switched to Xbox controllers because of the input delay. Because Xbox is made by Microsoft, and obviously PC like Windows is made by Microsoft, so it's a lot easier to use Xbox controllers on PC, and because of that, a lot of pro players claim that they have a lot less input lag. So I'm really curious and really excited to try this out. One thing that I noticed right off the bat is that the analog sticks look really tiny compared to like any other controller. Now I will get into the gameplay, but this is sort of just kind of my first look at this controller and my thoughts on it. So I guess there's three main features on this controller. The first being that it has an attachment for 4 paddles, and there's not a lot of cheap options to getting 4 paddles on a controller. Usually if you want 4 paddles, you gotta go buy a scuf for like $220. So it comes with this back piece on if you don't want to use the paddles, and then if you do, you can pop that piece off and then click the paddles right into place. That's my first time ever putting the paddles on, and it was super easy. So I'm assuming that's probably how I would hold it, with my middle fingers on the top paddles and my ring fingers on the bottom paddles. I'm gonna be honest, my initial feeling is that I feel like these bottom paddles might be a little harder to press. My concern right off the bat is that it might be easy to accidentally click one of the paddles while you're trying to click the other. I could definitely see that happening, but I think that might just be something that you can learn as you use the controller more. It's more experience. One of the second main features is this trigger locking system. So there's 2 little switches, one right here, one right here, and there's 3 different options for both switches. 3 options down here that say T1, T2, and T3. On the T3 option, your trigger is gonna go all the way down just like a normal controller would. On the T2 option, your trigger is gonna stop a little bit short of where the T3 one was, and then you get to T1 and it only goes down a little bit. And the whole point of that is that I only have to go down a very minimal amount before my trigger activates. So say you just edited into someone's box, you both have your shotguns out, we're both on controller and we click our trigger at the exact same time, mine's gonna activate first because I only have to click it down half an inch or something instead of having to click down the entire amount. It definitely sounds super minimal, but it really does help, especially in games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, games where literal milliseconds make a difference. And the third big thing about this was interchangeable parts. So it looks like this controller faceplate is actually magnetic, and you can just pull it off. And along with the 2 analog sticks that come on the controller, they're standard height, they're concave. They also include 2 extra thumbsticks, both of which are taller, which if you didn't know, taller thumbsticks are typically better for gaming. You get more precision, your aim's better with them. So this one is just a taller concave one, and this one is actually a taller convex, so instead of going in on the inside, it actually bumps out. So what you can do is you can just pull this off and it comes right off, and then you can put on a different thumbstick, and then you can go ahead and stick the magnetic faceplate right back on top. It clicks into place and you're good to go. So that's another feature on this controller. Once again, all this for just $60. Now it has a lot of features, but the features don't matter if the controller isn't actually good in game. So let's hop into Fortnite and try it out. All right, we're all set up here. I got the controller, and I actually just have 2 of the paddles right now. 2 paddles is all I typically use, so for my first time playing on this controller and on an Xbox controller in general, I want to be as comfortable with it as possible, and then once I get used to 2 paddles, I can obviously switch to 4. But I'm really just kind of curious about this whole Xbox layout. The controller feels good, like the whole shape of it. But let's just see what we can kind of do with it. Right off the bat, I gotta say, I like the L1 and L2. Those buttons are kind of flat and they feel like long. Feel pretty good. Honestly, it's not that bad. Like, it definitely feels a little wonky and I kind of feel a little out of control with it, but it's still not that bad. I've literally just picked this thing up and started using it, and it really doesn't seem all that bad. It's still fairly similar to the PS4 controller. Okay, I don't have the trigger locking systems on right now. I'm literally just using the controller. And I gotta say, I'm not sure if I can feel the input delay difference. On my other controller, I never felt any sort of input delay. So I guess I don't really know what I was expecting with an Xbox controller. But a lot of people do say that they have less input lag. So I was kind of expecting something. I would definitely say input lag feels pretty normal to me. Feels like just like my PS4 controller. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on these trigger locks or whatever. So right now I can press my trigger all the way down. So I'm gonna change them to the lowest setting, which, as I showed you guys before, means I barely have to hit them. And let's see if that makes any sort of difference. Right off the bat here, I feel like it might make my edits a little faster. I can't fully tell. I mean, that makes sense, I guess, if it did make my edits faster. Obviously, I'm still messing up a little bit, but like I said, I literally just started using this type of controller. Whole new controller. The paddles are in a little different of a spot, so I definitely am having a little bit of trouble clicking the paddles, but that's just something that I'll have to get used to. Overall, it's not that bad. I honestly thought that the different controller shape and where the D-pad's located, even though I haven't really had to use the D-pad at all, I thought that it would be a lot harder to get used to this. But I mean, here I am 5 minutes in and it's really not that difficult. I mean, it's pretty, I can do almost everything that I can do on my PS4 controller. It might look a little more sloppy, but I can still get it done. And that sort of movement just comes with experience with your controller, obviously. So overall, for 60 bucks, this thing is pretty awesome. Really, you can compare that to almost any other set of controller and paddles. You compare that to a scuf, you have $60 compared to like $200+. You compare that to some of the budget options, and even for the budget options, if you don't have a normal controller to start, for the back button attachment, that's $20 plus the $60 controller, that's $80. The standard strike pack model is $40 plus your controller is $60, and if you decide to get the alternate paddles and you're sitting at another $10, so you're well over $100 at that point. And with this thing, you get a full carrying case, you get a pretty sleek looking controller, magnetic faceplate, they give you a few different analog stick options, you get the 4 paddles, plus you get the trigger locks. I mean, that sounds like a pretty solid deal. I don't know what kind of reputation these controllers have. Like, long term, they might be super fragile, they might break really easily. I wouldn't know that, but my initial impression is that it's pretty good. I mean, for $60, I'm pretty impressed with this thing. I think I'm gonna play with this for a little while, try to get used to it. So let me know if you guys want like a hand cam gameplay video, because I can definitely do something like that. But for now, let's hop into some 2v2 realistics and try this out against real players. Boom. Let's go. I did turn down my normal sensitivity like 1 or 2 ticks. And another one. Honestly, really not doing too bad for literally my first time ever using this controller. The D-pad's throwing me off a little bit, just switching like weapons and stuff. But as far as normal gameplay goes, I feel like I'm playing like all right. Boom, let's go. I'm hitting a lot of good shots here. Made the other dude quit the game. I honestly thought it might take me a few rounds to warm up with this thing. I haven't even played actual normal like zone wars or anything yet. That is on such low ping. Boom, let's go. Guy is a total sweat too. Holy dude, what is this aim? This thing might have like some advanced aim assist or something, unless my aim's just nuts like that. That is the Xbox One Power A Fusion Pro controller. I think that's the full name. I haven't heard much about it, but I kind of like it. Like I said, I'm going to be practicing with this for at least a few days, and we'll go from there, see how we like it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, as always, leave a like, and I hope to see you guys in a future video. Thanks for watching.